breakfast, and then shortly after we went home and I got to meet my host mom right there. So that takes me into my host parents. So while I was in Taiwan, I had one main host day, and they call them homestay there, and they were for about 8 months. And how it works in Taiwan is that if you send your child on exchange, then you are the main host, and you have to find two other host families to host that child. So my host dad didn't want to inconvenience anyone else. So he just asked about two other Rotarians in the club that also had exchange student previously to host me for 1 month each. So my first host family, and they were my main hosts. So with them I stayed at their home from I got there to about January. Then I moved to my second, and I moved back to them for a month. Then I moved to my third for another month, and I moved back to them. So I was kind of hopping around, but it was worth it. So the family dynamics of my first host family was basically, at the time, my host dad, my host mom, and we had a housekeeper that came shortly after I did, and we became friends, basically the moment she arrived. And then from time to time, we had my host dad's family who came over for occasionally. So I would see his mom, his sister, his brother, his nephews and nieces. And they had a daughter, but she was on exchange in the United States, Ohio, I believe. So now to my second host family. Different family dynamic, different experience. I was only there for 1 month. And I think while I was there, it was kind of a busy time for everyone. My hosts, mom and dad, they were always working. I just went to school, I came home. I would do what I have to do, would have dinner, go upstairs on the weekend, I would do my laundry, maybe go meet a friend. And then there was my host brother. I actually never really saw him because he was at university and he bored. So yeah, never saw him, basically. But he's a cool kid. And that's actually the day I bought this dress. I came home and they were like, oh my God, try it on, let's take pictures. So I wasn't ready, but we took pictures anyway. And then it brings me to my third host family. And for me, my third host family, I think, was very different. And they had, my host mom definitely was more warm, I think, in a sense where she was very mother-like. In the mornings, she would get up, make breakfast. I would have breakfast. At lunch, I had lunch at school. And then at dinner, I would come home and have dinner. So we were always together. She would drop me at school in the mornings along with her son that I never saw because he was always studying. And yeah, so they were heavily involved with Rotary. And I think in Taiwan, your interaction as an exchange student with Rotary depends on how involved your parents are, your host parents. So my first host dad, he wasn't so active, but my third host family was. So that's when I got a chance to get involved with the other Rotarians of my club. And so normally on the weekends, we would go for walks. So it'd just be a couple members from the club would go in the mountains, do a hike, and after we'd go and have lunch and then go our separate ways. And that would basically be every Sunday. And then she also took me camping in the mountains. And she took me and another exchange student to a missionary home, and we baked apple cobbler. I think that's what it's called. And yeah, she also got me into tea. So by the time I left, they gave me a on-the-go tea set. And when I was leaving Taiwan, they gave me a package of Taiwanese tea. So that I loved. So it takes me to my Rotary Club. So here, so the picture at the top there is basically one of the walks we went on. After we did the walk, we went to a Buddhist temple to have lunch, and it's basically vegetarian there. It's very beautiful. And then here, the second picture, it's more in the beginning of my exchange. You can tell the period of my exchange based on the color of my hair. If it's really red, it's the beginning. If it's slightly red, it's like maybe about November, and then it's orange, maybe December, then it turned blue, and then green. So based on the hair color, it will tell the time. So here, it was about the beginning of my exchange, and we had to, they put on a dance, so a district dance, so each club has to go and practice a dance, and we put on a show basically for the other clubs. So we had practice, I believe, every Tuesday night. We would go and learn this dance. I'm a really bad dancer, but I did it anyways, and it was pretty cool. We had a tree planting ceremony that my third host family took me to, and then this guy, they call him Telephone. So in Taiwan, their names are basically, their English names, have something to do with their careers. So for example, he's Telephone. My third host dad was Artie, because he's an artist. My club president, his name was Beer, because he was in liquor business. My friend was mom and dad, whiskey and something else, some other kind of liquor. So based on your career, generally that's how you get your English name, and that's what they call you by at Rotary meetings. So this is my favorite Rotarian, one of them, Telephone. And yeah, he had a telephone business, as you can tell. And yeah, he was just, when I went for lunch and stuff, he was just very warm, always smiling, always offering me something to drink. Like, he was just always excited to see me, basically. So yeah, my favorite Rotarian in Taiwan. And then you have another Rotarian here and her husband, and actually she is the best person you'd ever meet that does not speak a word of English, but you just feel her warmness. But her daughter was actually in Canada on exchange in our district. So their daughter's name was Dami, and I believe they were in Bolton.
Oh, Dami's mom.
Dami. Yes, so that's Dami's mom. Yeah.
Cool.
Dami's mom and dad. So they were amazing people as well. So while I was in Taiwan, I did a lot of volunteering. So this lady right here, she's an English teacher, and her approach to teaching English was very different from general Taiwanese, where they're more on the side of memorization, and she was more of, let's go outside, and what is this? Let's go to the airport, and then they would learn English in their environment. So I would go with her and these kids to various places, the museum, the airport, as I mentioned, different places, different parts of Taiwan, and just day camps generally. And she would also take us, like exchange students, out to see Taiwan. So here, this is in Taichung, and it's called Rainbow Village, and it's basically a place painted by this older gentleman who decided that he didn't want them to tear down the houses. So this became a big tourist attraction, so now it's a landmark, basically. So by him painting the village, he saved it. So yeah, I started out volunteering with her, and eventually my American exchange student friend came, and then the Romanian guy came as well, and then by the end of it, she met all the exchange students, and they all did some type of volunteering at one point with her on one of her English camps. So it was great, and she is an amazing, amazing person. So here is just some cool places I thought, or cool stuff I would share. This is Chiang Kai-shek. It's in Taipei. Definitely something you should go and see, take pictures when you are there. The picture over there, we learned to do a traditional Chinese dance. And this was on our year-end tour. And this is the view of Taipei from Taipei 101. And that's the view of Taipei 101 from Elephant Mountain, which is, I underestimated Elephant Mountain. I climbed up, and by the time I got down, my legs were shaking. And I had to say to the person beside me, Art, like, is it just me, or are your legs shaking as well? Because I was like, this is not normal. And then this lady right here, she's a singer, and she came to my high school and performed, and after some of her classes got to take pictures with her. And the girl to her, well, my left, she is my best friend at school. So, that picture here. So, the picture over here, it's Jiufen, and it's a beautiful place in Taiwan. If you ever go to Taiwan, I also recommend here. Basically, this is Yasmin. She is the American exchange student, and we decided to just go visit. We were like, we're here, why not? So we got up about 4 a.m., rode our bikes to the bus station, took the train to Taipei, got there about 6, took a bus to Jiufen, and then we just walked around the entire day and took pictures, and yeah. And then here, this is Hannah. She is an exchange student that was in Taiwan. She's from Waterloo. And before I went to Taiwan, Betty Jo gave me her contact, and we emailed a bit, but we never got to actually meet each other until she came to Taiwan. So, and Hannah is definitely someone I would say would be a close friend for the rest of my life. She's a great person, and she still attends University of Waterloo, and her Chinese is excellent. Here, we had to do a dance. A lot of dances in Taiwan, I don't know why. But we had to do a dance for the Rotary International district event. So it's like the district conference. And basically we did 2 dances, one more personal, and then the other one was a Chinese dragon dance. And it took a minute to learn. It took a while, a lot of efforts, a lot of long practices, and we're exchange students. Once you get exchange student in a room all together, it's loud. I can guarantee that. So it's hard to keep everyone under control.
Herding cats.
Yeah. And then there, it's a really bad picture, but I put it there because it was my first concert ever, and it was a John Legend concert in Taipei, and he is an amazing singer. So that was a great experience for me as well. And the tickets were not that expensive, so yay. Food. So these are just some of my favorite foods in Taiwan. So shui jiao. Did I say that right? Yes. So dumplings, huoguo, hot pot, dumpling, which is like a pancake. I had it for breakfast mostly. It's like with egg and Taiwanese pancake, they call it. My Romanian friend here, he's eating nioro mian, which is beef noodles. And then this is zhuro fan, so pork and rice. And here it's zongzi. Is that right? It's like the rice wrapped in a leaf. Yeah, okay. So zongzi, I think it should play a video. So I'll see, just ignore. So basically, on Thursdays and Fridays, we would head there and grab or zongzi and ask him to put fried egg and put it on top of it. So sometimes we would eat rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So high school. For me and in Taiwan, the program was very special because we had a chance to go to both high school and university. So we were in the local high school for about 3 days, and then we were at the university for 2. And at the university, we stayed with we had a class with just the exchange students, and it was basically like Chinese and culture courses. And my high school, I must say, was very special because it was a vocational high school. So I got to do a lot of hands-on stuff. And I think that was better for me because my Chinese is not that good and I won't be able to participate in actual academical classes. Then I got, yes.
Was your education in English or was it in
Chinese?
Chinese,
yes. So for me, I got to do a lot of stuff, although I couldn't speak Chinese. So this is some pictures.
Wow.
So I did get to, I don't know if I have, no I don't. So here,
You didn't bring a gun, good.
no, I have my target paper. So we went to a military base. This was the practice for it. We went to a military base and then we got to shoot the rifle. And basically, if you got like 5 on target, well, you only got 5 bullets, and if you got all of them on target, then they give you a certificate. So I got all 5. It was my first time, and I was excited. So yeah, this was my first day. Basically, the only day I wore my official uniform. What you see, the orange, that's our sports uniform, but we wear that basically every day. And then the pink top with the plaid skirt, that's the official fancy uniform, but we don't wear it. I don't know why. So we met with my principal and the advisor and all my host family. They came first day as well. That's me making curry chicken for my classmates. That's us eating it. And then in the middle there, that's some of the guys from my machines class. Here, we had to do a dance, in school. That's my best friend at school. And here, we went to a baseball game, and it was my first ever baseball game, so I enjoyed that. And normally I had baking, I had a baking and a cooking class, so I would go to baking class and bake like cakes and bread and stuff, and I would take it back to my classmates, and they were the farm class. So my form room, they were farm class. So on Wednesdays, I would go with them to the farm. On Mondays, I would do baking and cooking, and on Tuesdays, I had machines all day. So here, baking bread, and then there on the farm. So on the farm, it's pretty amazing, I think, because they get to experience, they're not just reading about being on the farm and picking stuff from trees and rooting crops. You are actually doing it. So we had to go there, and it's run by the students. So in the mornings, they would go and clean up the farm, feed all the animals, and basically run a farm. So that was pretty cool. And then those are some girls from my cooking class. So this is the university. So it's Yuda University, Yuda Dashui. And here we took Chinese and culture courses. So as you can see, massage therapy, baking again, and those are the exchange students. And this is here because I wanted to demonstrate how poor our Chinese was. We went to a hair salon, and I wanted to get a cut on an angle. But she thought cut a bang. So I got a bang for a while. So yeah. Yeah, my friend's like, Sonal, how do you like? I'm like, why do I have? And she was gonna cut. We're like, no, wait. And she just chopped it off. So we're like, okay, we got a bang. And this is basically friendship to last a lifetime. And these are my 3 closest friends on exchange. Yasmin from America, Misha, Italy, and Iracema from Brazil. And then you have more from the district. And then this is Miali. So it's break up into sets. We have our district, and then you have 3 counties in the district. And then in your county, that's who you see every day, so who you'll be more close to. So I think for us it was special because not only it was just, we're on exchange and we see these other exchangers all the time, we became somewhat a family. And then my 18th birthday. My 18th birthday was amazing. I celebrated for about a week, basically. This was with a dinner with my Rotary club. That was a dinner with mostly exchange students and some of the girls from my cooking class. And then after that, we went home, and then my host dad and mom had a cake for me. And then my friends at school, they did a whole surprise as well. So it was an amazing birthday, and yeah, I'll always remember. I have a lot of stuff up here too. You guys are free to look at it if time allows. I don't think so. But they're basically scrapbooks and stuff my classmates made for me, and yeah, souvenirs. So this slide is on not so happy note. So while I was on my exchange, my host mom died. And she's my main host mom. So the family I was with for 8 months. So arriving in Taiwan, she was not well. I knew she had, I think she was diabetic, and then there was a lot of other stuff going on, and I think she's been sick for quite some years. So on arrival, like, it was obvious she was not well. And basically, I just jumped in and I did what I had to do in the sense of there was time where she couldn't walk so properly because her legs were swollen, and I would have to help her down the stairs, help her in the car. And just different stuff at different times would happen. And for me, it was never a burden. It was never an issue. I just thought it was just life and it's happening, so you just have to deal with it. But I didn't expect her to die. And it was on a Tuesday. And on that Tuesday, I was home because my class had a test, and they're like, oh, you don't have to come to school. So I didn't. I came down for lunch, and it wasn't abnormal for her not to be there at lunch, because sometimes she would sleep late or she would not have lunch. Or I remember the night before, she didn't have dinner because she wasn't feeling well. And then, so back to lunch, had lunch, went upstairs, and I was in my room. I don't remember what exactly I was doing. And Siti, so the housekeeper, she came up and she's like, Homa, dead. I'm like, what? Homa, dead. So I run down the stairs and I go into the room, and she was just laying there, basically. And in that moment, I held it together. Like I was good. I was fine. And it wasn't until her sister came over, and her sister sat by her bed, and her sister started to cry. And her sister was saying, like, you're leaving me alone. Like, you're gone. And she's calling to her. And for me, it was more about how her sister felt and how her daughter, who was in America, felt that hit me. It wasn't about, oh, I'm here on an exchange and this happens. It was just, imagine if my sister or my mother. So that was what really got me. So basically everything happened really fast after that. Got the body down and did preparation for the funeral, and they asked me if I wanted to, my counselor called and she's like, are you okay? If you want to leave, they will set up so you can go back to your second host family. And I said, I am fine as long as my host dad is okay. If he needs the space to deal with this as a family, then it's completely fine with me. I'll go, like, no problem. But I'm okay to be here if I'm allowed to be here. And my host dad said, as long as I'm good, he's good with me staying there. So I stayed through the entire process. And it wasn't interesting, it was different. It was very eye-opening, different way of doing the whole funeral and burial and everything. So definitely an experience, I would say. And I'd just share a happy memory on that thought about my host mom. So coming home, generally, she would sit in the chair with her magnifying glass. And I would come and I'm like, okay, I did this today, and I take my phone out and I show her pictures, and just her expression, oh my God, this, oh my God. And she zooms in on the picture, and just her reaction, just like, to me, that brought so much light. So every time I came home, I would come with my pictures. Homa, I baked this today, I cooked this today, I did this today. And every time, oh my God, so good, like, who is this? Like, ooh, Schweiger, handsome boy. Like, she always had something to say. So I think regardless of her being sick and all that happened, I got the chance to know her, and it was a beautiful experience for me. So with smiles on my face, thank you so much. And I'm just gonna do a closing. So there's so much I can say about my exchange. So many memories and stories to share, some good and others not so good. But all in all, I would not change anything of my experience at all. I was given a chance to go out and create a life for my own without all the things I know, all the things I was used to, and that is exactly what I did. And I would like to take a moment to recognize my host mom, Homa, and Homa and her selflessness and how she was always kind to me, regardless of what she was going through. And I hope that while I was there, my presence made the air much lighter. Again, my deepest gratitude to Rotary, Club of Mississauga West, because without you, I would not be standing here today. And I definitely would not have had the experience I did. And to Betty Jo, of course, words can't explain how much love I got for Betty Jo because she definitely pushed for me to be on this exchange. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And basically, I would like to say, 谢谢你们. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Question?
Questions, yes.
How was the school curriculum? Was it better than here, tougher than here? What's
It's very different. I think in the sense, in comparison, it's two separate ends of the scale. And if you can find like a middle ground in between both, because there it's very much study, 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 memorize, memorize. While here it's basically like more relaxed. But there's benefits to both, because here I find the students are more outgoing, are less shy. They have hands-on skills in the sense of, oh, I can go out and make a conversation. I'm not scared to do certain things. While they're more reserved, more shy. And I think it's because of the approach to their learning style. So I think a middle ground in between both, like put more studying in our system, then we should be better, and then maybe take a little more studying, put a little more, be in the world, be in the now, then balances. Any more questions? Yes.
You turned 18 while you were there. Is that the age of majority in Taiwan, where you can go and have a drink, or?
I believe so. Yes.
Is it? Oh.
I'm in the room, so I have to leave her to
I believe so.
I
Yes.
wasn't sure if it was 18 or 20, 21.
I'm not sure either, but I think so. Any more questions? Yes.
Did you get a chance to attend some of the Rotary meetings, and what's the difference, if any, between how they conduct the meetings?
So, good. I'm glad you asked that, actually. That was one of the things I did enjoy when I went to my Rotary meetings. So it would be when they had dinners. They had a club spot like here, generally, and there they would just have lunch boxes, and it's more, okay, get down to business, lunch boxes, and then meeting, okay, go home. But then they would have a lot of dinners outside of that. And for Taiwanese people, they think that, well, I would assume they think that when you drink, if you don't drink with like a coworker, a colleague, then you don't know them, right? So what they would do is, and when they drink, that's when they're not shy. So at those meetings, they would come up to me and they would talk, and they would speak in English. I remember there was this one guy, his name was, they called him ENT, because he was an ear, nose, and throat doctor, yeah. So he came up and he was like, hi, I'm ENT, nice to meet you. And then like 5 minutes after that, he was back again. He's like, hi, I'm ENT, like, how are you? Nice to meet you. But they just basically get together and drink some Taiwanese beer and talk and have fun. And then, but they do have like separate Rotary meetings where it's more, let's get down to business. But they had a lot of social events together as well. Any more questions? No? Okay.
You are an amazing speaker.
I do get the honor, I guess, to, excuse me, thank Taiwan, Swanell as well.
It might be Bryce.
Oh, it might be?
I'm not sure. Bryce, are you ready?
Oh, perfect. I was cut off guard.
Well, that was an amazing talk, Swanell, and it's obvious that you had a great experience and you learned a lot. You told us about how you changed your hair color every month. So you must have run out of colors because you don't have any color tonight.
Yeah, it's just fading away. It's just fading.
It's obviously done wonders for your self-presentation, and I'm sure this is going to be an experience that you'll never forget. And we'd like to thank you for your great presentation tonight, and wish you all the best in going forward.
I would also like to present this to the Rotary Club of Mississauga West. So this is the banner from Miali Southeast, and it's the Rotary banner for my club, yeah. So, thank you.
It's okay.
Her mother will thank you. I did.